Hey, everybody, it's Libby DeLucian again, here with the Libby DeLucian podcast, where we go one layer deep to cut the chaos and build a life and business that work together. So let's get into it. I have a great friend and peer today as a guest. Jen, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Jen Rodgers, and I'm the owner and founder of Just Peachy Clean in Daytona Beach, Florida. We're a residential cleaning business. We've been in business for just over 11 years now. And I'm a native to Florida, which is not like normal. So I like pointing that out. I'm actually like fifth generation native to Florida. So that's exciting. But yeah, happy to be here.
Awesome. So I asked Jen to come on for a very particular reason, and it's because she's been going through a transformation. I actually went to her house and helped her with one of the things. But she's going through a transformation of kind of self-discovery when it comes to eating and health and nutrition, but also the second phase of that self-discovery that I was involved in, there might be more, was addressing her home life. And, in business, we're always like looking for that next course, that next thing, like that next like business coach. And if you're feeling stuck or bottlenecked, I always talk about it goes you, home, then business. But we all have it backwards. We all put the business first, then our home, and then we put ourselves last. And I'm watching her transformation and her clarity and her speed. And I was like, hey, let's talk about what you just went through. I want the listeners to not just hear it from me, but you did these things. And I just want you to kind of talk about the journey, what made you come to that point. We can talk about the house first.
Okay.
And then we can get into, if we have time, into the health side of how it kind of just, it compounds. But I really want to talk about that home and how addressing that home life helped your business.
Well, so it's funny that when I offered for you to come and use my house for some training purposes, I was kind of joking, and I didn't expect for you to say, oh yeah, okay, great, let's do it in July. And because my son was actually the catalyst for it, my 15-year-old, because he's in that transition where he wanted to get, be more of a teenager and less of a kid in his room. And he's been wanting somebody to come and organize. And so when you and I were talking and you offered it, and I kind of joked about it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. We're going to do it. And so initially when you came, my goal was to get Hayden's room organized for him. And then since you were there, we were going to touch on some other things. And I had known that like I wanted to get organized for a while, but I didn't realize the impact it would make. So yes, I was excited about you coming. Yes, I was like excited about kind of getting rid of some stuff and decluttering. And then you start going through this process, and you did Hayden's stuff first. And he was, after the fact, he was like, Mom, I was really nervous that she was just going to make me get rid of everything. And that she was going to judge me if I kept a sticker because of whatever. He's like, but she really didn't. She like let me have emotion. She let me have, okay, am I just attached to this because of guilt? Am I attached to this because I really love it? Whatever. And he's like, so I'm really glad that I did it. But then when we moved into the other parts of the houses and I saw how you kind of went through the process with him, it was, the only word I can use is so freeing. Like, I don't know why we feel like we need permission to get rid of things. And just you being there as kind of a mediator and saying, you don't have to keep it. Somebody gave it to you as a gift. You have loved it. You have cherished it, but now you've outgrown it. Why are you just hanging on to it? Don't you think that person would love for somebody else to enjoy it and somebody else to, be able to utilize it? And at the end of the day, I'm embarrassed by how much stuff we actually got rid of, but we went and donated it to a local domestic abuse shelter here, which is where it's a confidential shelter where they house women who show up with nothing. And they were ecstatic. And it ended up being over like $2,000 worth of a donation that they took in. But the cool thing about that is they get a matching dollar grant. So not only did we declutter and get rid of a lot of stuff that was good stuff that can still be utilized, we were able to donate it somewhere they can use it, but they also got $2,000 in cash as well because of the amount that we donated. So it was really cool. So getting rid of stuff, just, I don't know, it's freeing. Like I can walk in and I don't feel like a slave to my house anymore.
Yeah. It's freeing. And I think, when when we're keeping that stuff, we're kind of living in that, someday. We're living in that someday I'm going to use it, or someday I'm going to, buy a Ferrari. We're living in that someday. And
someday I'll lose weight. Someday I might gain weight.
Yeah.
Someday I'm going to read that book. Someday I'm going to use that cookbook. Like But are you?
And so we can't live in that someday. We have to live in like the moment and use those things because we don't even know if someday will actually even arrive. Like you don't know if
Right.
that'll ever arrive. And so
Nope.
going through that process with your house and I want to know like, so how does it bleed into one, your marriage, your kids? Like you described a little bit about that. And then how does it bleed into the business? Like how you show up when it comes to your marriage and your kids and then into that business.
Right. Well, one thing with the family, as far as that goes, that was really cool is that they all are now more cognizant of where they leave things. So, like you introduced the concept of hotel ready before people go to bed,
Yeah.
right? And so at the end of the night, I see my husband folding up the blanket he was just laying under before he goes to bed and throwing it over the back of the couch. I see the kids picking up their socks and taking them to their room and putting them in their laundry basket. They're on the weekends immediately doing their laundry so that they're ready for the week to go or the week to come. Even this week with starting school, Sunday, we spent organizing everything for lunches. So they knew exactly where in the refrigerator they had to go to grab their lunch stuff. So in the morning, it's not a fight of what are you going to take? What do we have? Are we out of that? It's all in the one drawer in the refrigerator, and then all the snack stuff or whatever is right next to it. So it's super quick and easy. The amount of time that it saves us. And I know that there are a ton of people out there that have like the laundry chair. We would have clean baskets of laundry that we would pick through, one, because there was nowhere to put stuff up. And then two, it just was, there's no point in folding it if you can't put it up. And so we would have this stuff just sitting around everywhere. And it was just such a mental load. Getting rid of that mental load at home makes it so that when I come into the office, I'm not thinking about the 7 loads of laundry that need to be folded at home, because whether you are consciously thinking about it or not, it's there in the back of your head. You know, you're going to walk into that in your bedroom. So when I come into the office now, it's so nice because I can just focus on work and I can actually be more productive at work because I'm focusing on the things that matter here, not all of the things going on.
Yeah.
The nice thing about it too is my husband now even he's looking at his spaces because he's got like his man cave in the house, and then he's got a shop out back for the other projects that he does. And now he's even looking at it going, all right, we need to go through that and pull all of that stuff out and get rid of the stuff that doesn't work or that's broken or that's been there forever or whatever. So it's nice.
Yeah. So hotel ready is a great concept, especially for the kids. Chris, my husband, came up with it because when you say clean your room, well, that's subjective. We would tell the kids to clean their room and we go in our son's room. And I'm like, this is not clean. He goes, it's clean to me. And you're like,
which is probably true.
What? That's not clean. And so when you give them a visual, everyone knows what a hotel looks like. Kids love hotel rooms, by the way.
Yeah.
Right.
And they always feel good when you walk in.
Yeah. And you're like, okay, no, it's hotel ready. Get the rooms hotel ready. And then they're like, oh, there's a visual. It's like it clicks in their brain. That means nothing on the floor. Pick it up. Make it look like a hotel room, hotel ready. And so that really helps for a visual when it comes to kids a lot. And then I loved what you said about you can show up to work and you can show up with focus and clarity without feeling that weight of, oh my gosh, I have 17 loads of laundry to do back home, or I need to clean, or I have to pay all these bills. Whether we think it or not, whether we want to admit it or not, objects in our life, things in our life take up space. They take up your mental capacity. They absorb energy, right? They're objects. And you're never, and I learned this when I was organizing, and I would love for someone to push back on this if they're listening. From what I've learned and I've seen, and I've been around some really high level people, you are not going to find a super uber successful person that is living in clutter and chaos at home. Their homes are very put together and they're actually very minimal. Now, they could have a zillion clothes, but those clothes are organized. They're neat. Everything has a space. It's not laying on top of the back of chairs and like on the floor. They don't live that way because you can't function. Encroaches on your capacity to show up the way you need to show up, whether it's for your marriage or for your kids or for your business.
Well, and you think about the amount of time that you spend wasting digging through that basket of laundry to find something clean to wear that you can go out with today, or, digging for those things that you just have to have because the things that are clutter are just covering it up. The cutest thing ever was my youngest. We didn't do his room the day you were there, but we've been gradually working on his room because he's the emotional one. He's the one that holds on to absolutely everything. but also struggles with ADHD, as do I. And one of the things that really helps ADHD people is structure and routine, which is one of the things
Yes.
that we are the most terrible at. But we cleaned out his closet and we got all of his new school clothes and we put everything in there and we color coded it and we got done. And he looked at it and he goes, Mom, that makes my brain feel good. And I was
Yeah.
like, I love that so much. It's not often that I hear him say that his brain feels good. So that felt really nice.
I mean, think of yourself, think of your spouse or your partner, think of your kids. Also think of your employees, whether they're office employees or field staff employees. Clutter comes in different forms. It can be cluttered communication, it can be clutter of clothing or physical objects, clutter of, I called it the other day, I did a workshop, infobesity. We're giving them too much information.
Oh, that's a good one.
You know, like, because your office got to dig through files and files of papers or Google Docs to find the thing. It's clutter. And what if, like, we're not making their brains feel very good? And yeah, it's the infobesity. It's literally what we're all going through right now in the digital age of information.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
And so, you know, there's the physical objects of decluttering and how that makes you feel. And then you can take it to the next level and say, okay, I did my home. Let me do my business, or let me do the digital clutter, like in these phones.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Is like the next step. That's like the next phase. And to declutter digital, like pictures and files and Google and spreadsheets, like the Google Drive and apps, it's actually a little bit harder than physical objects.
Oh, it's way more overwhelming, I feel like, because that has been my motivation. Now that I've got the house pretty much taken care of coming in, I'm like, man, now my burden that I feel and that is in my brain every day is that Google Drive, because I know our Google Drive, which is what we use, is not organized. It's not put together well. And so it is so hard to find everything. You know, we have an iCloud drive too, and half the time they revert back to that, which is not the most recent stuff. So that has been something I've been slowly chipping away at, but I have not found the best way to do that yet.
It's the same process, but I think what, you know, you got to gather, you got to purge, you got to organize, like, you know, categorize, and then you got to create the structure. Same process that we did physically. Because when I worked with Jen, I actually went to her house. I hadn't worked in the field in years. And she was like, oh, I would love it if you'd come. And I knew she wouldn't. She would be like, what? She said yes. I even
was like, let me send you some pictures of my house just to make sure that this is what you want to do.
And the reason I wanted to do it is I needed to capture my process so that we can then create some training for around that. But, you know, I think I know it's the same exact process of doing it physically, but because it's digital, our brains cannot wrap like that. We cannot wrap that thought process around it. Like yesterday, someone's like, but how do I gather all my digital files in Google Drive? I said, you literally put them all in one. And she's like, but how do I do that? And, you know, I explained it to her. She goes, oh, that makes sense. And then I'm like, okay, just make one shared drive, dump it all in one drive, give everyone access to it, say, put everything in here, and let's start purging. But you got to gather it first, because you can't do some, because like you said, then you're going to leave the iCloud over here.
Right.
And then I told her, I said,
I was going to say the difference too is when you're in the house, in the Google Drive, at my house, we had a table. We had a table that we put everything on and we touched and we got rid of. The computer, it's like, okay, where's my table? Where do I put everything to touch it, to go through it?
The shared drive is your table.
Okay.
So the shared drive is your table. And you do have to touch every one of those, because you have to like almost click every one to look inside of it. And so here's the secret. This is why so many people also have a hard time, is they're like, but what if I need it one day? Well, I don't want it right now. Make a file called trash. And it's like the donation bin that sits in your car for a week that you're not sure you want to donate yet. But if it's set in your car for a week, you know, then you realize, oh, I don't need this. So make a file called trash or archive. That is your trash bin before it goes to the trash, so that you're not like anxious that, but what if I need it?
I like that.
So make it, and that way your employees as well, they can help you, and they're confident that they can put it in the trash, but it's not going to disappear forever. And then later you can delete it. Later, like you can look through it later, you can delete it, you can kind of lock it down, like no one can get anything in out of it if it's truly the trash. But it releases you from that, oh my God, what if I need it? stress factor so that your brain can exercise and go back through that process of
Right.
gather, purge, right, sort or organize, then the structure. Everyone wants to go
And I
straight
think
to
that's
structure.
well, and I think that was where we struggle because we have a shared drive that everything lives in, which is just a mess. But I like the idea of creating a new drive and just migrating the files over, not necessarily the folders, because the folders don't
Mhm.
make sense. That's part of why it's a mess. And then slowly start creating the
Yep.
folders that we need for that. I don't
Yep.
know why. Yeah, why didn't I think of that?
And then remember, make that trash one so that you can just put stuff in trash and
Yep.
you're like, oh, yeah, I don't want this and this and this and this. And you're like, yeah. And then once you get better at it, as you know, going through the house, it becomes easy.
Absolutely. Like I didn't realize how easy it would be to just start throwing stuff away.
um, so, and, you know, just think of the same concept as you're going through it. But I love how your home, doing that in your home directly impacted the relationship with your children,
Yep.
which then directly impacted also the home, your marriage, like the relationship with your husband. Like you said, your husband's now folding the blanket on the couch. And if your love language is, you know, active services, then you're like, oh
That's
my
me.
God, I'll love you forever. And then it just keeps going. And then the way you show up, because you cannot have chaos in your home. And I don't even mean if your marriage is chaos or your kids are chaos. I mean like physical chaos, but then you can't also have relationship chaos either. And then expect to show up at work 100% and like 100% devoted and focused. You can't. It's an impossibility.
Yep,
You
I
know,
agree.
everyone's chasing work-life balance, and there isn't a work-life balance. It's intentional time versus a balance of time.
Yep, I agree with that. And like I said, I was just completely shocked at the way it felt afterwards because one, I looked at all of that stuff and I just thought about the money that we spent on that. The money that could have gone to anything else. And yes, I'm not saying we didn't use all of that stuff, but did we use it one time? Did we really need to buy something for it? You know, did I buy that shirt because I actually loved it, or did I buy it because I put it on and it fit and I needed a dopamine hit, so I bought it, and then it goes in the closet and I never wear it again and I hate it, you know? So like I looked at all of that stuff and it was a good lesson for the kids too, because we showed, you know, they obviously saw that it filled the back room, and we point out to them, like, this is our money. Like, these are hours of our lives that we use to purchase this. It's not just the money, it's hours of our lives that we had to earn that money to spend on that stuff. Is this how we want to spend our money? Or do we want to spend our money going on trips? Do we want to spend our money, you know, purchasing a vacation home, getting you know, a better car that fits us better? Like, where do we want to focus our time and energy for the family? Is it on stuff or is it on experiences or whatever the case may be?
I love this topic. Everybody in my family calls me cheap. I have a reputation. I've earned it because I don't even buy Christmas gifts for family members. No, I don't buy. Okay, I don't buy objects. So let's rephrase that.
Right.
And I learned this years ago, like doing this for a profession. So for our listeners, like during a life change, like I started professionally organizing, then that grew into all the things that I have to do with now. Right. And going through that and helping people go through that journey, I've always been somewhat of a minimalist to a certain degree, but nowhere like I am now. And so going through that and working with people, I would work with people who would just like, you know, oh, I don't like this. I hate it, but my mom gave it to me, or it was my dad's, or it was a Christmas gift. And you're like, oh my God, like the guilt that we all have keeping these things. And I didn't want to guilt people into that. Like I didn't want my family to feel the way that other families were feeling that I worked with. And I said, I don't want that. I don't want that for my kids, for my sister, my mom. And I'm not just going to buy a gift for the sake of buying a gift. I'm not. It has to be intentional. And if I don't have an intention, then I'm not going to buy anything. And so I don't buy Christmas gifts for anybody. If anything, like, hey, here's a gift card to a restaurant so you can have an experience, you can have dinner. My family now, we pool the money together and we go on a trip with my mom and my sister, my siblings. And it's one of those things where, so I got a reputation that I'm cheap, and they just joke with me because I'm not going to buy it. I've seen like the amount of waste, but you're 100% right. People, that it goes back to that someday I'm going to use this someday. You're living in someday instead of living in the moment. And the moment is the only thing that's guaranteed to us is today. Right.
Yep.
The past is done. It's over. And someday may or may not ever arrive. Yep. And live in that moment. And so your house needs to reflect like who you are right now, who you want to be. And the money is a really interesting topic because I'm like probably the frugalest thing. Because when you go to frugalest person you probably ever met, because when you go to spend money, you're kind of like, I don't need that. Like, oh no, there's no space. Like, but my closet looks beautiful right now, and there's nowhere to put that thing.
Yep.
And it's incredible the amount of money people spend, but it's the dopamine hit. It's the, but it was $8 at Ross. It was on clearance.
Yep.
Look at this find. And I know so many business owners and non-business owners that they try to fill that void, that emotional void with buying, just like we do with food.
Absolutely.
It's an $8 dress, or like, hey, I got this special. And so let's go over to food now, since I opened that door.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because it compounds, right? It's you actually did the food journey first before we did the house.
Correct.
But I want to talk about the house first, because that's the whole point I wanted you to share, like just with listeners, or even Organize It customers, or people that are looking to get organized. Like, how did it help your life and your family? Like, it's great. But now let's go to the food and tell us about your food journey and kind of how you came about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So last December, I had been feeling bad for a while, and my anxiety had gotten like through the roof. I was to the point where I told my husband, I was like, I'm going to have to go get on some sort of medication for my anxiety. I can't. I'm waking up every morning at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I'm not sleeping through the night. Like it was really bad. And I had done something to my shoulder, and I had constant pain. It was like months of constant pain that I couldn't get rid of. I've been to the chiropractor. We had tried exercises, and I just could not get it to go away. And I was like, I want to feel okay. Like the bar is low. I'm not even saying I want to feel great. I just want to feel like okay throughout the day. And so in January, I went to an event where you were, and you sat down with me and my friend Michelle, and we sat there and got to talking, and you started talking about carnivore. And I was like, maybe I should just do a detox. Like maybe I should just like see if it's something that I'm eating that's causing these issues. Maybe I am having an inflammatory reaction to something that I'm eating or whatever. And so you spent a lot of time with us, and you were telling us all about the benefits that you had seen. I was like, how can that be, like, just from changing the way she's eating? How can you have all of these amazing, side effects, good side effects from just changing the way you're eating? So Michelle and I kept talking about it for the rest of the week. And at that point, I have started buying back my time a little bit, and I had hired somebody who does meal prep for us. And I was talking to her about it because she's into nutrition and everything. And she's like, I will do whatever you want to do. She's like, I've never done it before, so I can't give you pros and cons, but I'll help you with whatever you want to do. And so when we left, I went back and I said, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it for 2 weeks. I'm going to go carnivore. And so by about, I think it was like day 4 or 5, I felt like death. I felt like I had the flu. I was like,
yeah, that's keto. You're in ketosis, like your keto flu, they call it. Yeah.
Yep. And I had done keto years ago. And so I knew that was coming, and I was trying to avoid it, but I know I wasn't drinking enough because I'm terrible at that. But I felt awful, and I was like, oh my gosh, and so I pushed through it. And by like day 7 or 8, my shoulder pain was about 85% gone. And it had been months of shoulder pain. Like it would wake me up in the middle of the night. I couldn't lift it above here and without it hurting. And it was like 85% gone. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's something. So I was like, 2 weeks. Okay. Maybe 2 weeks isn't long enough. So let's do it for 30 days. So then I was like, I'm just going to do it for 30 days and see, and then you've got, because I'm vocal about some of the stuff that I do. So you get the people on Facebook who are like, oh my God, you're going to have a heart attack. Don't do that. It's terrible. Yeah. Right. You're going to get fatty liver. You're going to kill your gallbladder, all of these things. And obviously the more research you do, the more you realize that that's not the case at all. So then I don't know, about 3 weeks in, I told John, I was like, I don't feel anxious anymore. And it like caught me off guard one day, because I just realized like, oh my gosh, like I don't feel stressed out and I don't feel anxious. It just kind of slowly went away, and my shoulder pain was completely gone. For the first time in probably 3-4 months, my shoulder pain was completely gone. And I started seeing a change in my skin. And then I was like, everything that I'm reading says really you need to go 6 to 9 weeks for that, like, to completely clear out your gut. And so I just kept making excuses to continue on.
Versus the fact that you felt great wasn't enough.
Right. And so I have been carnivore with, minimal cheating, because when I cheat, I feel terrible. So like I I don't do it anymore. It's not worth it to me. And I know some people are like, you can't eliminate entire food groups, that's deprivation, but I don't feel deprived. So the other side of this, for somebody who has struggled with eating her whole life, I have struggled with weight my whole life, and I didn't do this to lose weight. That was not why I went into this. I really wanted to feel better. Any kind of meal plan I have ever been on becomes an obsession, and then it becomes an obsession with the scale, and then it becomes an eating disorder. And I have never been able to get around that. This is the first time I have ever done anything where I don't have food noise. I'm not constantly thinking about, what am I going to snack on? What's here? What am I going to eat or whatever? Half the time I end up fasting throughout the day because I don't even realize I'm not hungry, and I'm listening to my body. If I'm not hungry in the morning, I don't eat. There are mornings I wake up hungry and I will eat a full breakfast. There are other mornings where I'm not hungry until 1 o'clock and then I'll eat lunch. And I have never in my life been able to do that. If I have ever restricted and not eaten during the day, then it ends up binging at night. And I just don't do
Yes.
that. And now we'll go out to dinner and we'll go to a steakhouse where before I would eat the bread, I would eat the salad. We'd probably order some sort of appetizer. And then the meal of the steak and the potatoes or whatever it was, I would eat all of it. I would probably feel pretty miserable when we left, but I would eat all of it. Now we go out to dinner and I order a steak and maybe we get chicken wings for an appetizer and I never finish my steak. And I'm full. Like I've never been able to just like push a plate away and be done.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing. But the mental clarity that it has brought, because as I mentioned, I struggle with ADHD. And for one, in the beginning, or I don't take my medication as much now, but in the beginning, which is a good thing, obviously, it made my medication work better. So I could focus better. And then now I'm just finding that I can go a day and not even take it. And I'm still able to focus and I don't have to be reliant on that. If I have a day where I need, it's a more mental strenuous day, I will take it, but I don't have to rely on it anymore because it has cleared that brain fog and that focus issue that I struggled with so much in the beginning. And I don't understand why it works. I don't understand why changing your diet fixes your brain, but I'm here to say that I'm proof that it does.
Yeah. I'll tell people, I'm like, it feels like I haven't done like, if like drugs, but if you were on like speed or something and you're just like, you have all this energy and clarity and you're like, I can just keep working and I can keep going. That's what it feels like. It's just like this, so much energy that you're like 15 years old again.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, what's wrong with you?
Right.
So it's really interesting, the journey, the carnivore journey. And I think, everybody can find their own way. Like, I don't want to push a particular diet on anyone, but this is the first time I told Chris before that, I've struggled with weight. Everyone's like, but you were skinny before. I'm like, do you look at my pictures before? I was tall, so it stretched out really well.
Right.
But even Chris, who has always been thin, when you look at his pictures, he had inflammation in his body, his face, like,
mm-hmm.
And so for me, it was one of those where I am never hungry. I never feel deprived.
Nope.
And I know a lot of women struggle with this. Like, we're always on a diet. We're always like, and I think with carnivore, what I have found is my true weight. This is how much I'm supposed to weigh. I can eat as much as I want or as little as I want. And I don't feel deprived whatsoever.
I'll go out with friends and, I don't ever want anybody to feel self-conscious around me. You do you, whatever works for you. That's fantastic. If we go out to dinner, I will find something to eat there. I can just get a burger patty. I can get just a steak or a piece of fish or whatever. But then, they'll be ordering, an appetizer. Oh, I'm so sorry. I know you can't eat this. No, it's not that I can't eat it. I don't want to eat it. I don't I'm not even craving it. Or they'll get a dessert, oh my gosh, this is so good. And it looks beautiful, but I don't even want to bite. And I've never been in that place. I remember
the way you feel when you eat it.
Yep.
So yeah. I've even taken, like, people have given me things and sometimes you feel bad. So I'll like take a little bite or lick of it on the spoon. And you the second it hits your body now, you're like, ew, it's so sweet. It's just overpowering. You don't even want it.
No.
So
I remember the first time I went out and got a drink with a friend, a local restaurant here. They have a drink called Peaches on the Beach, and my company name is Just Peachy Clean. So obviously I had to try it. It used to be my favorite drink there. And I started carnivore and we went to this restaurant because they have a huge steak that is wood fire grilled and it's delicious. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to have a drink tonight because I think I had been on carnivore about 2 months then. And I ordered that. And that was the other thing. It has gotten rid of all of my migraines. I haven't really had a headache since I started this.
And Chris, so I ordered that actually.
Yeah. I ordered that drink and I drank it and I had a good time, went home or whatever. I got a migraine that night. And I was like, it was too sweet. I drank it. It was way too sweet tasting. And it kind of cured like that. I don't need this drink again, even though it was one of my favorite drinks before. But I got a headache and I was like, this is why, like, I don't want to go back. I don't know that I want to introduce anything back in because stuff just makes me feel bad and I don't want to feel bad. I feel way more good days than I've ever had in my life.
Yeah. It's crazy. So you changed your home. It helped your business. Changing your diet, how's it helped your business?
Same. Like I said, I have more focus. I'm able to be on task. I'm able to be present here more. Obviously I still have my days, but as stupid as it sounds, like before I would come in the office and I come in and I would have skipped breakfast because I'm rushing to get the kids out the door and all of that. And then I get here and I'm like, oh, I'm hungry. I need to figure out something to eat. So then I'm up away from my desk, figuring out if we have snacks here at the office or I'm going to go grab something. And then, lunchtime rolls around and I'm going, oh, I was already hungry. I should go ahead and get something. And so not saying that eating is a distraction, but I use it as that. Like I would get a little bit hungry or I would get a little bit of a craving and I would use that as a distraction to do anything but what I needed to do at my desk. So I would get up and I would go get a snack or I would get up and, get a treat or whatever. And I don't do that anymore. Like I said, half the time I forget to even eat because I'm not hungry.
Yeah. And the way it affects your brain, because Chris has done like tons of research on it, it's the inflammation in our brain that's causing some of the brain fog or like lack of clarity or focus. And it's just crazy. I learned this a long time ago that food will fix about 80% of like our body, while exercise is like the other 20%.
Right.
And so people want to go to the gym for like 2 hours or an hour and a half and do all this workout, but they look the same and they don't feel any better. They're actually discouraged because they're going to the gym for an hour or two and doing all this hard work, but not feeling or seeing the results. And that's because the food hasn't been adjusted yet.
Oh, no. I actually knew a woman who owned a Pilates studio. So she worked out all day, every day, teaching Pilates classes and everything like that. But she would go home every night and eat an entire package of Oreo cookies. And she was pre-diabetic. Like if you looked at her, she, the ideal female form, like what everybody's striving to do, beautiful, skinny, fit, everything like that. But inside she was pre-diabetic. She had terrible hormone spikes. She had bad headaches, all of that stuff. And it's like, it doesn't matter how much you're working out during the day. If you're still feeding your body garbage fuel, you're not going to feel any better.
No. And, my whole point of this podcast was to really help those business owners who show up for their business every day, but feel stuck. It feels heavy. It feels overwhelming. They're exhausted. They can't focus and they set these goals and then they totally get down on themselves because they can't understand why they can't hit the goal.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can have actually all the time. Most of the time, let's just say like 90% of the time, it probably has nothing to do with the business and everything to do with you and how you're showing up and how you're taking care of yourself, because that's how you get to next level leadership. I remember the specific conversation with a friend at a dinner in Tennessee. Maybe she's listening. And she's like, Libby, they don't need me anymore at the office. Like I go and I just cause issues and I butt in and I don't know what to do with my time. And like, what should I be doing? And, I never really thought about it like this. And then I keep hearing this from other business owners. They're like, but they don't need me anymore. I don't know what to do. That is the natural evolution of business to open the door for you to work on yourself to get to next level. And if we're just sitting on the couch, like eating potato chips, or we're just, like doing nothing with our time, or we continue to butt in at the office and micromanage, we're never working on us to get to the next level leader. It's the test. We're being tested. And you have to say, am I avoiding that test, or I want to face it. I want to face that test head on, because if I pass this test, then I'm getting to the next level, so then I can bring everyone up with me. It's the natural evolution of business. Showing up every day and answering the phones and answering the emails doesn't get you to the next level. And I know that's hard for us to kind of get our heads around. I know. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think in our industry, specifically with cleaning, part of it is that most of us started cleaning houses. So you felt accomplished at the end of the day because There was a before and after, clear picture of what you've done. I think the more that you grow and the more you get in the office, then again, you're answering phones all day. You feel accomplished. You feel like you're doing something. When you get to that point where you've kind of been pushed out of the office, pushed out because you've hired competent people to do what they're supposed to do during the day, then you feel like, what am I accomplishing? Because there's no clear picture of it. I didn't answer phones today. I didn't clean a house today. Okay, maybe I read a book, or maybe I, did a new form for something or implemented a new process or whatever. It doesn't feel like the same sense of accomplishment as those tasks that are right there in front of you feel like.
I think it's a long game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard to measure, but you feel it now. You feel accomplished.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes we have a lot of guilt because we're like, oh, I need to go to the office. No, you need to take care of yourself so that you can lead this business to 3 million.
Yeah.
Because who you are right now isn't going to get it to 3 million or 5 million or 10 million. So that accomplishment is yourself. And a lot of times that's work we don't want to do because we don't think there's correlation. We don't think they relate.
Yeah.
Someone has a goal to be a $3 million business. And I said, okay, but are you a $3 million owner? What'd you do to prepare to be a $3 million owner? Oh,
right.
Well, I've done this and I've watched this module and I've implemented. No. Like, no, what are you doing to be a $3 million owner? Do you look like one? Do you feel like one? Do you act like one? Do you show up like one? Like, does your house look like one? Does your car? I don't know. Like, it's all your surroundings. Mm-hmm. It's that environment. Are you creating that environment to say, I am a $3 million owner?
Right.
Showing up.
I feel like a lot of people can not a lot, because I know that it's a very small percentage, but there are businesses that can get to the coveted $1 million mark kind of on accident. Like, you can push really hard and you can grow really hard, but getting past that is super hard, because after that is when it really starts to show where your systems break down. You can't have, I would imagine, I'm not at a $2 million company yet, but I can't imagine that you can have a $2 million company or even a $1.5 million company without solid systems, or else it's just straight chaos every single day. And if it's straight chaos every single day, that's got to be a miserable life.
Mm-hmm. And so it's just interesting to say, like, a lot of owners, they don't want to like grow up. I was like, I just had a conversation with someone yesterday. She goes, but Libby, this is hard. It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be. It's the test to say,
right,
if you can do this, then, hey, I might get to that X goal. It's supposed to be hard. And it's an ecosystem, right? When we think of our home, our marriage, our kids, our health, and our business, it's an ecosystem, and they all need to be working together to get to whatever that ultimate goal is. Yes.
Yep. I agree.
So we got to wrap up. Any last words, Jen, for the listeners on like something they can take away through this transformation of home and health?
Yeah. So my word going into this year has been refine. And I've never set like an intention like that before with any kind of word. I always kind of thought it was like hocus pocus. But when that word is like in your, like if you're constantly thinking on it every day, then you're constantly working on ways to do that. I have refined my diet. We have refined the house with the organizing. This has bled over into refining our personal finances to make sure that we can hit the goals that we want to. Like, we're digging in deeper in there and realizing how much we, waste or don't waste, or what we're spending it on every time, to the point of spilling over into the office where we are refining our systems and our processes, and even the way we go about doing things. If our onboarding process is taking too long, how do we shorten it or make it more efficient? If these things are taking up too much time, how are there parts of it we can automate? So refining everything, which comes down to organizing and all of that, just do it. But it doesn't have to be big to begin with. Take a small step. Tackle your closet this weekend and see. And like Libby shows you to do, pull absolutely everything out of the closet. Do not leave anything in the closet, and see how much of that stuff you actually want to put back in the closet, and see what that motivates you to do.
Yes. Refine. And I like the word refine, because that doesn't mean there's actually an end. It's a progression, baby steps, right? Baby steps. I love that. So for all of our listeners, thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you subscribe. And Jen, I want to thank you for being a guest.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Hiring sucks, right? Sorting through bad applications, ghosted interviews, and wasted time. It's all exhausting. That's why we built WootRecruit, the hiring system designed to attract and convert the right people for your business fast. What are some of the benefits? Well, you get more qualified applicants without lifting a single finger. Increase your show rate, eliminate the worry of ghosting. Track every single step of our process with real-time data. If you're tired of hiring headache, go to wootrecruit.com and let us start filling your open roles today.